I mean, it's just an absolutely shocking game. We've got magnificent Carpetson playing with the white pieces. Hikaru Nakamura, his opponent. They're the best two blitz players in the world, and it's 3-0 Thursday, a weekly tournament. All the best Grand Maestros in the world, and Magnus kicks off with d4. It's online chess on chess.com, 3 minutes each, and no increment. So you have to play quick. Now you can go knight f3 here, but Magnus goes for this. He allows the Nimzo Indian defense. Hikaru does it with a whoosh. You so often see them avoid it at the top level, but this is what Magnus has got planned. Setting up the big center. Hikaru goes for the counter strike. You can glide on past, but Magnus does this. He desperately wants that bishop bear, picks it up from Hikaru, and now d5 is the tried and tested fight back in the middle, but not played. Queen a5. This is a real sideline and not in a good way. You can see our engine friend does not approve. Magnus covers the pawn, x-rays the queen. Now we get pawn d6. And one does not simply give Magnus Carlsen the centre of the board like this and lived. You get the idea. Castles is played here and bishop d3 sets up some kind of wonderful Christmas tree. By the way, happy Thanksgiving to those of you celebrating. I think sometimes a tree gets put up, by the way. And on that note, side segue here. But Daniel Naroditsky, we give thanks to him. He touched so many of our lives, right? And I'm long overdue mentioning that the Charlotte Chess Centre has set up the Daniel Naroditsky Memorial Fund. They're raising for a great cause in memory of Dania, legacy to him, helping people in chess in tons of different ways. If you also want to make a donation, I've left the link down in the description, or you can Google it, right? Daniel Naroditsky Memorial Fund. Really great cause. Do support that one if you possibly can. Let's crack on with the game here because Hikaru plays the stinker. Knight f to d7. I mean, this is suicidal. Leaving these guys on the Etienne back row, taking the one defender of your king away. Magnus's bishop's pointing, and he now plays pawn f4 and roars like a mighty chess lion, and it just gets worse. Knight b6. What is that? Knight f3 from Magnus, and now queen a4. Desperately going for an exchange of the ladies because Magnus has got the attack brewing, but that's risky. We know Magnus loves an endgame with no queens, but this time he doesn't go for it. Of course he wants to attack. The seahorse is spawned, and now pawn e5. What else? Open the eyes of the sniper, and it just gets more unbelievably bad for Hikaru when he plays Knight a5. Another piece out there in the frozen wastelands of Siberia. We know a knight on the dimmer is Rimmer. What does Magnus do here? Bishop takes on h7. You guessed it. Gift me that Greek sacrifice. King takes. Knight g5, of course. You are dead. Surely. Now, if you step up the board, didn't happen. We're in the back cave. You check. And if you step like this, it's a very quick mate in two. And if you block with the f pawn, then you can play this. You don't take on croissant. Obviously, in some countries, forced. But here it's better to cut the king. King can't actually move and you're threatening mate. This is why all you can do is play stupid moves, give up pieces. I'm lagging a tiny bit here, but you get the point. So the king can't step up, steps back. Surely now you play queen h5. That's the way you deliver the mate. No, don't do it. You just lost the game. Look at the butt flap fall out of Stockfish there, pooping its pants because queen c2 defends and prepares to go queen g6. Black's winning, a piece up. So Magnus doesn't do it. He plays queen d3, threatening mate but stopping queen c2. Rook d8 gives the king some running room. Only move. Queen h7 check. King goes. And now check. and take the pawn is really the most natural way to play the position. Normally everyone's blitzing that. But Magnus castles. It is the top move of the Stockness monster, so it is good, but probably it was simpler to just check and take the pawn. Hikaru now takes here and hits Magnus's bishop, and he doesn't move it. The absolute best way to play the position is with an immediate pawn f5. It's incredibly powerful that you can even sack a bishop. But Magnus now checks, king on the run. Now he takes the pawn. He's threatening mate in one, so the queen desperately scurries back to cover the king side there. Magnus's bishop is still hanging here, but once again, he doesn't move it. He finds the brilliancy this time. It's pawn to f5, and you don't have time to take this bishop, or check comes, king d7, and the knight crashes through with decisive effect. King's on the run, rook's dropping, then the f-pawn's running. So in the game, queen g8 from Hikaru, going for the exchange, trying to quell the attack, but Magnus carries on with pawn f6 check, sets up the overpowered connect 4, and he only goes and wins himself a Lotus Chess subscription with 25% off. Yes, I had to get this one in there. It's an incredible Black Friday deal. Dominate your opponents, do some crazy stuff like Magnus and Hikaru out of the opening, teaches you fighting chess, take that rating to the next level. I absolutely love it. I'm on to like my 35-day streak now or something insane. It's so good. Link is in the description. Check that one out. King runs away from the check here, and the knight crashes through. Another painful discovery on the cards, so you do have to take these off the board. Pawn captures, the rook is hanging here. Yes, the bishop is too, but you've really got to save that rook. It's stopping the queen, so it slides over. Pawn's about to be won, and so Magnus now defends the pawn, and finally escapes this attack. b6 is played. Why? You've got to connect those rooks. Rook a1 from Magnus. This was actually best, revealing the point of why b6 was so important, or pawn b5. Now you can play the bishop out, connect these rooks here, but it's so dangerous. White can invade like this with check. There are ideas of hopping round to h7 and f6. Knight g5 is just a killer, but Magnus does not play it. He plays rook ae1, eyeballing the weak e6 pawn. You can't take here, or your d6 pawn collapses. So Hikaru just carries on like this and developing the bishop, and this is kind of Magnus's point. I'll put the rook here, I'll eyeball this pawn, which is no longer defended by your bishop. Now I can go knight g5, converge on it. First he takes, preparing knight g5, but of course you're not obliged to take back. Hikaru goes bishop to d5, trying to cemento everything. It's not actually the best, as you can see, but you have to be going knight e5 check now. Magnus missing it, king d6, but now you can get the invasion going, and this is just absolute paralysis. Here's one sample line. Black desperately heading back to defend, but now you can invade, and you get this absolute bind going on, something like this, bringing all the pieces around. Nasty, nasty discoveries. So takes, kick that king back, create the pins galore, and here it's too much. Whoops. You're going to lose a piece, you're going to make a queen, you can't cope with everything. One sample of how Magnus should have played, but he plays this, saying if you take my pawn, I invade with the rook. But now b5 to support the knight. Knight e5 check best. Magnus goes g4. It's mistake after mistake from both players. Low on time. They're riding that blunderbuss together. a5 now. 3 stinky moves in a row from Hikaru, but Magnus is going toe to toe with him, pushing his own pawns here, so natural. And before you can say, show me your I've got a bad stomach face, never eat spicy food the day before a big game, Hikaru gains that space. Now taking looks the most natural, but Magnus didn't want to open the rook, I guess. So he plays this a4 move, and now this is why Hikaru is one of the best blitz players in the world. He comes up with the move of knight b to d2, sacrificing a piece, which Magnus takes just to unleash the b pawn, free his pieces, pick up the initiative and win this dangerous pawn, unleash his rook. Magnus should now go g5, but he plays bishop back to g5. I mean, this is just a shocking game from the world number one. When do you ever see Magnus lose like a +4, 5, even 6 advantage at certain points? It's unheard of here. Hikaru can't believe the gift he's been given of getting back into this game. His entire army was over here. Now we see the king take on d6. Arguably you want to take here, but then you give tons of initiative. So Magnus instead goes king h2, stepping out the way. Now we see this pawn pushing on. Rook b1 comes in front, but takes with check. Pawn recaptures. Don't take with the king. You run into this. You just lost an exchange. So Hikaru steps this way. How dangerous is that one? We see king g3, king b4, and now the best move is bishop d2 check. You could also look at lifting the rook, something like this. You can actually then win back the pawn, and this rook can rotate around to here, so on and so forth. I just want to show you one bonkers line. If you get this, you can check the king, because if it takes the bishop, you can checkmate it. Stupid line, ridiculous, but I had some fun clicking around. This was best, this was played. Huge mistake. Hikaru's now crushing it after takes on a4, and now Magnus starts panicking big time. What does he play? Rook a1 check, and this is just losing the thread, as he calls it. He's not playing the best moves by any stretch of the imagination. Panic chess. Hikaru's got a simple plan. Push the pawns, march in the king, another check. It's all pure panic. Low on time, Magnus loses here, maybe on time, maybe resigns. Of course it's just gone. He had nothing left in time or on the board. Crazy, wild game there. Hope you enjoyed. Do check out the links down in the description, and for another crazy game, have a look at the video on screen, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.